So in the last video, we finished with putting on the radiator, and we'll just continue putting things on the tractor today. We'll start with putting on the carburetor. Just the 2 bolts that go into the manifold. We had to put some washers up there because the new manifold we got, the holes were ground out bigger than the bolts and the nuts were, so the washers will just help keep it in place. We could put on the alternator. We got a new alternator, so we just made a new bracket and stuff. It was 12 volts already, but the other alternator was not very good looking. We weren't sure. We didn't check it to see if it was working. It probably was, but we just decided to get a new one, so we won't have any problems. And we could put on the throttle cable and the choke.
Then I could put the throttle that goes up to the instrument cluster on. This is where it connects onto the tractor, and it just goes up through the hole in the instrument cluster. It's actually a pretty cool little thing. That little spring connects underneath the battery box, so that way it has some tension.
We could put the battery box in. We got a new battery box. The old battery box was, I don't even think there was a battery box. It was so rotted out. We could also put the back bracket for the fuel tank on top. It shares the same bolt with the battery box, so we had to do it at the same time. And the bracket for the front of the fuel tank.
I put the toolbox on just because it was out of the way, and I wanted to see what it looked like on there. It's not really used as a toolbox, more as just a cup holder, but still good to have.
We had to drill some new holes in the side of the battery box to fit our starter solenoid on. It didn't line up with any of the holes there, so it was simple enough just to put a new hole in the side of that little piece of sheet metal. And it looked really nice there. And we could connect it to the starter. I could put on the clips for the air cleaner. We just use fender clips, so that way we can easily take it on and off just from the one side for the air cleaner. And I could set the battery in the battery box. I made a battery clip out of a piece of aluminum we found. It looks really nice, so it's nice and shiny. And it won't rust. And we could start getting some wires around. Gotta start that process at some point. Got the air cleaner back out of our way. We just wanted to make sure it was going to fit in there. And we could start putting on the exhaust. So after that clown show of a time putting on the exhaust, trying to get those brackets lined up and everything was just not going smoothly. But we eventually got it to be where we wanted, so it wasn't hitting the clutch and came out the back straight and everything. We could get it fired up, but the shroud was hitting on the fan blade, so we had to adjust that. But once that was done, we could fire it up, so that way we could adjust the valves. We just had to get the motor warm enough so that way everything was stretched out a little bit. A little antifreeze. This was going in really good until we got it full enough to the point where we realized that we hadn't put the temperature gauge in yet, and that was a pretty big hole in the side of the block for antifreeze to leak out, so we eventually got that in there and poured some more back in. Then we could go through adjusting the valves. We did it 3 times. We were happy with them after that, so we could continue on putting other things on the tractor.